Hello, my dear friends. Thanks for joining me tonight. You are at Kardec Radio, and this is Spiritism, a closer look, our weekly program every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I am your host, Luiz Lima. Well, tonight's topic is what I call the truth will set us free. We've heard the gospel, right? The gospel of John. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So, what exactly does it mean? What is behind this thing? What is the background for him to, say all of that? And most likely, most importantly, how can we understand this today in our present times? And going through everything that we are going through as a society, as humanity. So thanks for joining us again. For questions and comments, you can always reach us at kardecradio.com, or you can come to our Facebook, Spiritism, A Closer Look. Okay, so we are going to start by looking at the answer to question 115 in the Spirit's book. The question is about how were spirits created. Some are good, some are evil, and how that came to be. So the answer is very interesting. This is just part of the answer here that I'm putting down on your screen. That's what the Spirits tells us. God has given each spirit a mission, and that mission is aimed at enlightening them, the spirits, and progressively, look at the word, progressively leading them towards perfection. Now, this is the key here, through knowledge of the truth. So progressively means it's not going to be in a snap of fingers. There's some effort involved. We got to put some energy to make it happen. That's what progressively means. Knowledge of the truth. What is that? What is this knowledge of the truth? Sometimes things are a little bit, blurry, complicated. So, what is a true sense of truth here? It's truth here in the sense of a reference. For example, in the Spirit's book, we're going to have information that comes from the Spirit of truth. So it is the Spirit that has the reference to give us. The truth here is not what I say it is. It's not what I demand it to be. It's not what I declare to be truth, or how I wish things are and determine how they are supposed to be. It's not even how I portray my life or your life or life in general. Our personal truth, that's what these things are. Our personal truth is nothing more than our opinion. And that truth that the spirits are talking about cannot have selfishness and pride at its base. So people in our level, in general, our level of development, living in a world of trials and expiations, meaning at the base of everything, there are two things, pride and selfishness. So everything that emerges from that is not truth in the sense of the divine truth. It's just going to be our opinion, our biased opinion based on different things, based on our spiritual history. Each one has a different history. Each one is different. What I came to be truth for me might not be for you, and vice versa. So if that is not well understood, it kind of generates a lot of conflict, potentially, generates a lot of conflict, to the point that we get to some ugly disagreements, wars, and everything else. So this truth cannot be founded or based on selfishness and pride. There's a very interesting book written by Spirit Emmanuel through the hands of mediums, Chico Xavier in Brazil. The book is called Thought and Life. And he will tell us more or less like this. Pride, the pride that we carry today, it's part of our spiritual history. So it started all the way in the past, and it keeps coming and coming, and life after life, incarnation after incarnation. We have not been able yet to get rid of it or to even diminish for most of us. And if this thing is not taken care of properly, you will become a snowball, because it carries over from one lifetime to the next one, from incarnation to reincarnation, and it becomes a snowball. And Emmanuel says, if nothing is done, or if we are not paying attention to this, or if we're not just putting the emphasis on that, there's going to be a point in one of our lives up there, somewhere in the future, that this pride is going to result in one of these four things. His words, not mine. First, nervous depression. So there's going to be a point where if I don't do anything, there's going to be a certain lifetime that I just totally go into this deep state of depression, nervous depression. Number two, emotional imbalance. So that carries over, and I'm going to start having my emotions disconnected or not properly. I'm not going to be properly centered per se. It's going to create trouble, emotional trouble. Number three, ulceration. You see, it's getting to the physical level now. And number four, cellular dysfunction. Cellular dysfunction means degenerative diseases. That's what it means. Whatever disease it is, there are several of them that result from cellular dysfunction. So, all this pride that we have been holding for so many lifetimes, so many lives and incarnations, they will lead us to something like this. So obviously, that pride cannot be the base for truth. So we live here in this state of duality, as I call, where we have everything is good and bad. Everything is good and bad. Everything is dual. What does it mean? Well, let's put it in practical terms. Let's say, for example, that throughout my life, I was let's just say a dishonest person. So I keep coming and coming, and it gets better because that's what each incarnation is for. So I keep, getting better, getting better, getting better. And let's just think about this. Let's just say that last life, I finished my last incarnation. And I said, on the next one, no more dishonesty. I want to be completely honest, 100%. So I come in here, I incarnate, and that's my goal. That's my primary goal for this life. So things are going well. I'm a very honest person. And let's just say that suddenly I go into a situation like this. Somebody leaves on the table a pile of dollar bills like this, high. Let's say $100 bills. It's going to amount to a few $100,000, if not more. If I take, let's just say, 10 bills out of the top, visually, nobody's going to notice the difference. Nobody's going to say, oh, that pile was a little higher. It's not possible for people to see unless you count the bills. So if I look at that and I start, scratching my head, and I go like, oh my God, I could take some bills here. I could take maybe 5 bills, maybe 10 bills. Oh, I would be able to do this and that. You see the conflict. Before anything, before doing or not doing, look at the conflict. So there's a tremendous possibility for both at this stage. Even if I decide to leave the pile of bills in there and walk away, still I had to battle this, internal conflict. Why is it happening? It happens because I'm living a duality. Me and all of us, I'm living a duality. Honesty is a possibility, but dishonesty is still a possibility. I have not been able to transcend this duality, honesty, dishonesty. Because if I had been able to transcend this duality, I would look at the pile of bills and I would say, probably would put my two hands on my head and say, oh my God, somebody forgot this tremendous amount of money here. I got to find out who's the owner is so we can return it to him or her. When I get to this point, then yes, I would have transcended the duality, honesty, dishonesty. Here's another one, alcoholism, sobriety. It's the same thing. So I come to this life supposedly to not touch alcohol at all and so and so and so. And then suddenly I go to a party, somebody leaves on the table the most desired and expensive bottle of whiskey ever. Everybody desires that. And I'm alone. I'm just there, alone by myself. I have the glass in there and I have the bottle. And I'm going to battle that because if I go like this, oh my God, this is fantastic whiskey, the most desirable. Oh my God, I got to take maybe a little sip. You see, if I go through this, I have not transcended the duality, alcoholism, sobriety. Because if I had, my attitude would be, wow, this is one of the most desirable whiskey on the face of Earth, on the planet. We have some people here that if they see this bottle, it's going to be trouble. So let me put it out. Let me hide this thing. Let me put it away. You see, it didn't even occur to me to drink or touch in terms of, making use of it. When I get to this point, then I have overcome. I have transcended the duality, alcoholism, sobriety. And that goes for everything. And everything in this world is duality because it's trials and expiations. I have to go through the trials and I have to go through the expiations. And that's how we go through these things. Now, when for the dualities that I have transcended, they no longer exist. For example, honesty, dishonesty. If there is no possibility for dishonesty, there is no longer a duality. When there is no longer a duality, it changes the name. We call it truth. So honesty is the truth. Sobriety is the truth. And that goes for every single duality, where you have vices on one side and virtues on the other side. So getting to know the truth means what? Means dismantle these dualities one by one at a time. And it takes time. That's why we need several lifetimes. That's why we need reincarnation. That's how it comes into the picture. Until we are able to make choices and get better and get better and get better, one day I'm not going to have to make a choice because the other side of duality no longer exists. So it is necessary for us. It's a learning process. We need to face these things. That's how we get better, by having to face these dualities and make choices. And when I make a wrong choice, I'm going to be tried again. I will do it again, and so and so. You see, it's how we learn, because it's free will. I can pick one or the other. It's free will. But I'm going to be training on how to use my free will through these processes of dualities, all of them. You see, Paul used to say, I can do everything, but not everything is convenient. Not everything is good for me. Because I still have my free will. I still can make my two choices. But not one of them is not be good. It's not going to be good. So every duality brings in its core a conflict. Every time I see the two choices, I'm in conflict because I have to make a decision. You see, Jesus never had to think about this. Oh, this poor man is here asking for help. Let me see what I'm going to do. Would I be doing charity here? Would I help him, or would I just walk out? What would I do? He never had to think about anything like this. He he didn't have any dualities to deal with. He lived above all these things. And that's our goal, to live above all these things. And I usually, talk to people about a reference, a material reference that we can use, because we have more, I would say, it's easier for us to use material references as analogy because we are living a material on a material plan here. So let me bring something to you and I, right, to think about. I want you to think about the sun. Okay, it's something material. We don't put our hands on it, of course, but it's material. It's out there. We can see, we feel its effect with the, when it gets hot and so and so. Think about the sun. And I'm just going to ask you this. What time is it night in the sun? Yeah, I know it's a strange question, right? Out here, it's night at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., wherever you are, depends. What time is it night on the sun? Answer, never. Then my next question is, why is it never dark in the sun? Why? Answer, because the sun is the source of all light. Not some light, not 50% of the light. The sun is the source of all light. So, when am I going to be in peace? When peace is my truth. And when is it going to happen? When I am the source of all peace. When am I going to be patient? When I become the source of all patience, and the source of all tolerance, and the source of all good things, the source of all virtues. When I get there, then I can be called a pure spirit. We've known one here that lived with us 2,000 years ago. He had no dualities, no conflicts, no situations to deal. Oh my God, what should I choose? Oh, wow, what do I do now? I'm very confused. I'm sweating. My heart is pounding because of my choices. No, nothing like this. He never had to deal with this. He lived above all of this. So knowing the truth stated by the spirits on question 115 means exactly this. Know that we have choices, but one of them has to disappear. It will disappear to the point that I'm not going to be able to even think about it anymore. And how do we do that? So it takes a lot of practice. One lifetime is very unlikely to be enough. It was for some, maybe Paul, but for most of us, we need a very long sequence of lifetimes. And that's the beauty of Spiritism. It brings us a new approach to life where I understand there's two sides, and I understand the choice that I have to make, and I understand how to make that choice. You see, Spiritism is this new philosophy of life that uses a true moral reference, not my reference, not yours, not our friends, not our bosses, not our family members. No, he uses the only true moral reference. The words of Jesus set a moral reference for this new philosophy. The words of Jesus set this moral reference. And that's why we hear, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Gospel of John. Any other form of truth will make us prisoners. Any other form of truth will make us prisoners. What do you mean by prisoners? If I have to make a choice and I'm sweating and my heart is pounding, I'm a prisoner. Because I have to deal with the two sides. If I don't have to deal with the two sides, I just do it like Jesus. Oh, let me just do charity here. No thinking about should I do it, should I not do it? What's good for me? What's in it for me? You see, for most of us, in order to be able to do charity, we have to stop, think, and put a strategy. Think about that. I don't mean stop, think, and make a strategy and it takes 3 days to do it. No, it might take only 5 minutes. Our ability to do charity is still very fragmented. It's not that we don't know how to do it, we do, but it's absolutely fragmented. So we have to think about it. We have to put our energy together. Oh, let me concentrate because I'm going to do this and this. It wasn't that way for Jesus. It's not that way for pure spirits because they know the truth. There is nothing that goes against charity to form a duality. Nothing. It is just one thing, charity. And that's the absolute truth. Because if there is charity and something else, the form a duality, I'm still a prisoner. And a lot of times we are prisoners of our actions in the past that we never let go. That's what Emmanuel mentions in the beginning that I mentioned to you guys. The pride that keeps coming back. And, it's a snowball that keeps coming back on every incarnation, higher and higher and higher, more potent on each life. Because we are still attached to things that we did in the past. And that past could be this within this lifetime or many lifetimes ago. It doesn't matter. We're still attached to that. So what we did in the past is still one of the sides of the duality. Haunting us. So going back to my example, honesty, dishonesty. If we're totally honest today, but dishonesty is still a possibility, it comes from the past when I was dishonest several lives ago or multiple lives ago. Same thing for the other example that I gave you, alcoholism, sobriety. If alcoholism was present in several of my past lifetimes, it might still be here. So when there's a bottle, there's a conflict. The conflict doesn't have to be anything outrageous. It could be something simple like this. Oh, I'd like to take a little glass here. Yeah, no, but really I shouldn't do that. It was simple. No suffering, no cold sweat, and nothing like this. But the duality was there. And that goes for every vice against every corresponding virtue. So if we don't get to the truth, if we are still bringing content from the past and making or considering that content as truth, I'm a prisoner. I will not be able to liberate myself, and that truth, my personal truth, is not going to set me free. Never. The only truth that sets us free is the one that comes from the reference. And I'm not the reference, you are not the reference. I think there's a lot to think here. There's a lot of considerations. I want to thank Andrea, who is online with us right now. Thanks, Andrea, for your comments. There's a lot of details that we could develop more, but I think it becomes a long subject. We could just take this to the pillow tonight, digest a little bit. There's a lot of elements, but what I wanted to bring to you is a general idea, general concept of what the spirits mean by, or John, Gospel of John too, right? Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So it is not like this. This is true. I'm telling you, so I'm free. No, that makes exactly the other way around. When I tell you this is true because I say so, I'm a prisoner, far from being anything close to free. Thanks so much for following us tonight. As always, if you want to request a subject for us, usually I have guests here with me. We're going to have another guest next week. But if you want to request a subject for us to take a closer look at, just go to kardecradio.com, or you have our Facebook link down here, right here below the screen. Just go there and let us know. We'll bring the contents, because just like yourself, we are all learning. I'm learning, you're learning, so it's good for all. It's good for everyone. Okay. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next week.